It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission really is to provide you, the hardworking entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Tine Zekis, better known as Tine, by the way. She's in the building, and she'll be talking about how to get paid more without being burnt out or stressed using your existing skills, something along those lines. What's going on, Tine? How are you?
I am great, Shay. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm sure folks are fired up today. They're probably watching right now. It's like, wait a minute. Someone has an answer on how I can get paid for what I'm worth. But let's slow down for a moment. Why are folks, in particular women, not being paid what they're worth today? It's a loaded question, I know, but why are they struggling, I guess, to ask for what they're worth?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we are still living in a space where there is a wage gap for both gender and for race, right? So it's a double whammy for Black women and other women of color. But, so some of that is, a series of the structures we have set up, it's biases and things, and it's the way that we were socialized, right? A lot of us have been told, be grateful for what you have. Don't rock the boat. You don't want to sound greedy. Just be thankful to have a job. And so a lot of us then accept the first offer. We're not negotiating. And there are even studies that say that when we don't negotiate, over our lifetime, we can miss out on up to $1 million in earnings.
Wow.
So it's serious.
No, it is. But you made a point to say that you can leverage your existing skills. Take a moment. What did you mean by that for the person that's peeking up right now? Because a number of our audience, they're dualpreneurs, by the way. So they're working full-time jobs and they're full-time entrepreneurs. So this is probably like, wait a minute, Shay, this is on my professional side. And many of them have a husband. Some of them have a wife. Some of them have kids. Some of them are involved in their community. Some are caregivers. Some have other outside responsibilities. And someone's checking all the boxes right now. And they got, Shay, I got more boxes. You ain't finished yet. So me getting more income is great because I have more than one kid. So here's the question. How can they leverage their existing skills and still get more money?
Sure. So, when I talk with folks about getting into a higher paying industry or a higher paying role, a lot of them immediately turn to, well, I got to get another degree. I got to go get these certifications. I got to do this to prove that I'm ready. Right. But so many of us already have the transferable skills to be able to learn the other stuff on the job. Right. So part of it is about really assessing the skills you already have and figuring out which of those things you can leverage and what stories you can tell to say, hey, not only do I have these other skills, but the fact that I'm pivoting from a different kind of role is actually to your advantage, right? People who have been doing this kind of work their whole career haven't had some of the other experiences I've had. And so I would be even more of an asset to your team in that way, right? So a lot of career changers and people who are making a pivot usually assume I'm going to have to get XYZ qualifications. And I think especially when I talk with Black women, we're the most educated, the most certified, the most qualified, and still among the least paid, right? And so it's not about going and getting another degree or getting another certification. It's about how do we convince ourselves that we're ready and then go forward and tell that story.
And before we get into your backstory, because I'm sure they're probably wondering, Shay, what is a mindset like? What are some things that you need to tell yourself so you can have even the right mindset? Forget the energy, forget the walking in the confidence. But if someone's listening right now and they're like, okay, everything she said, I've been that person. They're raising their hand. What's 1, 2, or 3 mindsets that they could have just to shift that belief and be able to step into their power?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing is really believing you deserve it. I think especially when we're talking about salary or even setting your rates as an entrepreneur, people are always saying know your worth. And that phrase actually drives me nuts because, and hear me out, because your worth cannot be measured by some monetary value, right? You're a human being, so you are invaluable. And so instead of knowing your worth, I encourage people to know you're worthy and that no number is too high, right? There's no amount of money where someone could own you. So once you know that you're worthy of everything that you want, then now it's just about going and claiming it. So that's that first piece, is really tapping into your worthiness. I think another piece is the growth mindset. So many of us think I'm good at this thing or I'm bad at this other thing, as opposed to I can work really hard and learn this thing, right? Or if I failed at something, that is a great lesson that I'm going to carry into the next piece. So I think the growth mindset is huge. And then the last one I'd say is really tackling just any aspect of imposter syndrome you may have. Whether that is feeling like you don't belong in your current role, or you are not measuring up to your peers or what have you, that really trying to dig into where those feelings are coming from and developing the strategies to address those.
I love it. Now's a good time, I believe, for folks to understand, who is Tine. Tine's got a lot of ideas. Tine's got a great philosophy. Tine's making sense and sense. Can I say that, by the way? Sense and sense. And I'd be wondering right now, like, who is this person? So, the question I'm about to ask probably, what's your backstory? And what was
Sure.
that defining moment where you raised your hand and said, enough is enough, and you decided to step up and ask to be paid what you should be paid for?
Absolutely. So I love this question. So I actually started my career as a high school math teacher. And when I say that the classroom was not for me, I can explain a math concept in 10 different ways, but I only know one way to say, don't talk when other people are talking, other than inserting cuss words. So, for me, teaching was not it. And, the way that our system is set up, teachers are so overworked and underpaid that, I was swimming in student loan debt from my master's in education. I was living off of credit cards. I had no plan, and I was working my butt off for very little results. And so, for me, I knew it wasn't working. I was trying to figure out what to do next. And I started serving as a long-term sub for other math teachers. So actually, at my old high school, 5 math teachers were having babies the same year. So I went and did all of their maternity and paternity leaves. And one of them also taught AP computer science. And so it was like intro to Java. I'm staying a chapter ahead of the kids. And I realized, oh, this coding thing actually is pretty cool. I think my favorite part was that all 30 kids could have a different answer and still be right. I didn't realize that coding could be creative. And so I actually did a boot camp and became a software engineer. And through a series of job moves, salary negotiations, I was able to double my teaching salary in 2 years. And I more than tripled my teaching salary in less than 5 years. And throughout that process, I was mentoring other Black women along the way, people who were also trying to make moves into tech, people who were already in tech but didn't know how to really secure that salary. And so I did, negotiation coaching. And when I started speaking, I actually started my business just because I was tired of speaking for free. So I started it just to get paid to speak, right? But I was talking with a coach, and she said, well, what gets you fired up? Like, what do you really love? And I said, getting Black women paid. And she was like, get on GoDaddy, gettingblackwomenpaid.com. Like that was it. So that was how Getting Black Women Paid started.
Wow, getting Black women paid. That is amazing. That is incredible. If you had to step back now and you talked about the mindset and you had to say, okay, here's the bumper sticker version. Here's step 1, step 2, step 3
Sure.
for the person that has to start preparing so they could have the conversation. It's one thing to get excited and motivated and can't wait to do it, but then you've got to be able to execute. What are 3
Yeah.
things they should have in order before they have the conversation? And this is,
Absolutely.
I guess there's two type of jobs. I guess there's one, the person's already in the current role and they're like, hey, I should be paid what I'm worth. So I guess that's one
Sure.
person. We'll talk to that group. Then maybe we'll come back and talk to the other group that has to counter. You know what I mean? They're going to another
Right.
job and they got to counter. So let's first talk to the folks. They're in the current job and like, I'm not getting paid what I'm worth. I want to have a conversation with my
Yeah.
superiors, our manager. I don't know, I haven't done this in so long. What are a couple of things they should have ready to go?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, if you're in your current role and you're trying to negotiate for a promotion or a raise, I think the first piece is, throughout your time in your role, to be tracking your accomplishments, right? Logging whatever accomplishments you have and their impact on your team or on the company so that you now have a document to point to saying, hey, I contributed this, this, and that. And anything you can associate with numbers, especially, right? This, had this impact and, it reduced our call in rate by 20% or whatever it is. Document those things. I think that's step one. Step two is market research, right? So get out there. There are websites you can go to. For me, Glassdoor is a favorite. You can type in the job title, and then you can filter by location, years of experience, industry, etc., and it'll give you a range of what people are getting paid. And that's the data is it's people putting in their own data, so it's not 100% accurate, but it's good to get an idea of what's out there. And when you see that range, they're going to show you like the 25th percentile to the 75th percentile. You don't need to be looking at anywhere less than 50. So that middle mark is your bottom, right? Because you're not below average. You are exceptional. I think that, well, maybe that's another step is understand that you are exceptional. Because especially for Black folks, we already know we had to work twice as hard to get there. And so we're already twice as qualified, right? So anything below that 50 mark, we're not interested in. So that's just to give you a sense of what's out there, what's in the market. And then
Wow,
the
that's
final
that's a
step is
lot. I like it.
yeah,
Keep going. This is great.
yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
And then the final step is to prepare what you want to say, right? And you can even write out bullet points if you're nervous, right? Make sure you cover everything because you want to explain, hey, I've done this research. I've seen what people are getting paid. And you don't have to imply, like, and if you don't meet it, I'm walking. But to just say, hey, now that I've been in the role and I really understand what it takes and things, I'd really like to talk about my compensation again. Here's what I'm seeing in the market. And, I just want to make sure that we're on par with what we're seeing out there.
I like it when you kind of compare it to what they're seeing in the market versus, you gave
Mhm.
me $1 and I see Johnny Boy got $1.50. You're comparing it to the market saying, hey, I just want to be fairly compensated for doing great
Yeah,
work. I
absolutely.
like that. That's
Well,
a lot. And it's very thorough and very detailed. And I'm wondering now on the other side for the person has a job offer in front of them, and maybe it's the same, I'm not sure, but they have a
sure.
job offer in front of them. They're like, well, shoot, this is more than I'm making now. This ain't bad. In fact, this is more than I thought it was going to be. Okay.
Yep.
Am I being too greedy by asking? If I ask for more, are they going to cut my job offer and say, we can't take you? Yeah.
Mm.
So what does that approach look like?
Oh, I love that you brought up that scenario because that happened to me. So, well, one, I'm a proponent of actually saying the numbers because so many of us don't talk about the numbers. So that's part of why we don't know what to expect. So, I was working as a software engineer and I was making about 100,000, and I was moving. I was going to do a parallel move, so I was still going to be at the same level, but my goal was to get to 120, and I was offered 140. And of course, I'm like, yes, please, thank you, but I say what I always say in the offer. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'd love to see a printout of the benefits to go over and I'll get back to you. Right. So it doesn't matter how I'm feeling in that moment because I already know what I'm going to say to get myself off the phone and out of and then I can have time to be in my feelings or whatever, whatever it is. And that day I think it was a tweet or something. This was back when it was Twitter. And it said, Black women, whatever you were going to ask for more. And I was like, shoot, I got to negotiate. So I did some math because another one thing to consider is if you're leaving a job, especially, in the middle of the year, you might be leaving money on the table there, right? Through your benefits, maybe you got to start over on your deductible. maybe you were going to get a 401k match that's not coming, or maybe you were going to get your annual bonus that you're not going to get. So I kind of got out my calculator, did all those things, and figured I was leaving about $15,000 on the table by leaving mid-year. And so that's kind of how I framed it. I said, hey, like, I'm so excited. I'd love to join you all. The thing is, I want to join you as soon as possible, but in order to leave in June or whatever it was, I'm going to be leaving this $15,000 on the table. I'm wondering how we can work to make some of that up. And they ended up offering me another 8,000. So then I was at 148. And for me, again, like, that was way beyond what my goal was, but now we had this positive interaction, right? And then when I got there, I started talking with the other women engineers and found out I was making like 25,000 more than them. So then when it came time for compensation discussions, they were able to say, "Hey, I know that we're paying 148 now." So then they got brought up to where I was. And so then now the impact is even greater.
Wow, which most folks don't do that. So you're able to help someone else in your journey. How cool is that, by the way? What do you enjoy most
Yeah.
about what you're doing now? A big smile comes on your face. You light up for sure. What are you enjoying most about what you're doing these days?
I mean, for me, it's the success stories. I have seen women more than double their income in one job change. And that's life changing, right? I worked with a woman. She had just gotten a promotion and a raise. I think it was like a $6,000 raise. And she heard me speak. I was speaking at an event. And she said that during my talk, she was emailing them like, "Hey, could we talk on Monday? Like, I don't, I don't think this raise is quite right." And so she went back and talked to them, and she doubled it. She turned it into a $12,000 raise. And then
Wow.
we met. We had a coaching session, and we talked about her imposter syndrome. We talked about her qualifications, and she realized that recruiters were talking to her about director level roles, and she was just ignoring them because she didn't think she was ready. So then she responded to one of those recruiters. She went, she got the job, and that offer was over 100,000 what she was making, even with the promotion and the raise. So now a
Wow.
year later, she's taken her kids to Europe, she's paying for their college, she's living a different life because of that extra $100,000, right? So
Oh, it
for
makes a
me,
difference.
that's
It
what.
makes a difference.
Yeah. So I mean, I was smiling for a week with that story, right? Like, so for me, that's the big thing is, getting to talk to folks about the changes in their lives, because we're not talking about getting paid to get paid, right? Like,
Right.
the dollar amount is not the end goal, right? We're trying to get paid so that we can, feel less stress, so we can have time to pursue hobbies, so we can give our children experiences in other countries, right? Like, those are the things that are the actual goal, right? And so watching people actually fulfill those is what gets me just glowing.
Yeah, it tickles me, man. So congratulations. It leads us to a really good segment we
Thank
have
you.
here. Good transition to a segment called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you might be waiting to say those magical words. You can go ahead and say them now. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you, by the way. And for all the new folks who are watching for the very first time, welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show family. Today is my January 1st represents our personal mantra. It means you get a fresh start. It means you get a do-over. It means the past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is or how bright and sunny the past has been, the past no longer equals the future. So my question to you, teen, on the other side as you're listening, is when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And number two, what was a setback? Maybe there was some challenge in your life, and how were you able to overcome it?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, when I hear, I love the way you say it, even it just the energy behind it really exemplifies that, just endless possibilities, right? It's a blank book that you get to write, so that's what comes to mind when I hear it. And for me, it was the day I quit my teaching job. When I say I was a math teacher, I did teach math um in many different ways, in many different situations, but I was a full-time teacher with my own classroom for 6 school days. When I tell you that was the worst week of my life, I mean, I I lost 7 pounds in 5 days. I was having panic attacks and vomiting. I was um, on my way to school. I was driving and thinking, man, if I hit that median, I could go to the hospital instead of school, right? Like it
Wow.
was a dark time. And when and I had, so I had that first week. We had a long weekend. I was like, okay, I got to revamp. I got to make a new plan. I did the setup in my room. I had all these different strategies. And on the first day of school, or well, that first day back, I threw up twice before first period. And I was like, I'm out. I'm out. And, it's so hard to quit something, because I wanted to be a math teacher my whole life, right? I was in high school tutoring other kids. And I just thought that was how I was going to make a difference in the world. Um, and there have been many twists and turns on my path. I actually came back to teaching after some other stuff. Um, and I think about actually my dad. He is a Yoruba man from Nigeria and has instilled so many values in me in terms of how you serve and your legacy and so much of what I do, I'm trying to make him proud, and I remember him helping me set up my classroom, helping me put up the posters and move the chairs and do the things. And on that day when I quit, he was there helping me take it all down and starting over. And for me, I think that moment was when I realized that like my well-being was more important than whatever mission I had decided I needed to do, right? I needed to take care of me and figure out my situation before I could give to anyone else. And now I'm able to give in such a bigger way because I'm well, because I've done it, because I've lived it, and now I can give it to other people. Whereas if I was going to just push through and keep hurting myself, I wasn't going to help anybody. So that was the beginning of the rest of my life, so to speak.
Wow. Thanks for being so transparent, by the way, and sharing that, man.
Yeah.
Kudos to your pops, by the way. You know, we get a chance to ask one of our favorite questions, and one of my favorite questions is, what's one of the best pieces of advice that you've ever been given? And I like to frame it for the audience so they understand. I'm not asking you to walk off the mountain here with the 10 Commandments or anything, but you've had a lot of mentors. You've read, I'm
Yeah.
sure, countless books. You've done the research, and if you had to say, here's one of the best pieces of advice I've been given just about life in general, what would it be, and why?
I'm gonna go back to my dad. He always says, "Show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are." The people you surround yourself with reflect your values, reflect your goals, reflect so much about you. And I've been so blessed in my life. One of the tools I talk about for overcoming imposter syndrome is to build up a hype squad. And for me, the people I have in my life who are pushing me, who are supporting me, who are excited when I'm excited, who cheer me up when I've messed up, you know, that crew is so invaluable. And and I think it's so true. Like if you're trying to do something that no one has done before, you need to expand your circle, right? You need to expand who you're surrounding yourself with to include people who've been there or who have the same goals or who understand what your challenges are, right? And so for me, I think that's the biggest thing. And so that's why, I love to be in communities with, other entrepreneurs or with other folks who are trying to do what I'm doing.
Wow. Thanks for sharing, by the way. That's super cool. What do you do for fun these days? I mean, we're not out saving the world, helping Black women
Yeah.
make a ton of cash, by the way. Like, what do you do when you're just having fun?
I'm a bit of a homebody. I think maybe I mean definitely since the pandemic, like I just forgot how to go out and do stuff. I also I have little ones. I have a 6-year old and a 4-year old at home. So
Well,
for
that'll
me, a
keep you
lot of
home.
it, yeah, exactly. So a lot of it is playing with them, like watching them learn new things and grow in different ways. But for me, a lot of it's chilling with my husband, watching TV. We watch old stuff. We've been watching Columbo, and like we watched
Columbo.
all of
I love
Cheers.
Columbo. Ah,
Yeah,
one
so
more question. One more question.
yeah, exactly. I got one more question. And I like to crochet. I'm making a blanket for my son right now, so kind of those homebody, warm and cozy
That's cool.
habits
That's
or
cool. That's
hobbies.
something to keep you happy, and that's the most important part. Well,
Yeah.
as we finish out and close out, two-part question. Number one, what type of clients is your firm looking to work with these days, if any? I'm not sure if you're taking on any clients.
Mhm.
And number two, how can folks best connect with you? How can they stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have now?
Sure. Sure. So, yeah, we are taking new clients. We work with mostly mid-career Black women professionals who are looking to increase their income, whether that is through a career pivot, through some kind of parallel move or promotion, and those who are thinking, "Hey, I gotta develop a second income. I want to start a side business or something of that nature." So those are the folks we are looking for. And I'm on all the social medias, Tine Zekis without the apostrophe, so just Tine Zekis at all the places. But the best way to find me is through email. So teen at gettingblackwomenpaid.com. Reach out, and I'd love to let you know how we can work together and whether our programs are a good fit.
I love it. I love what you're doing. Keep making a difference in the world. Thanks so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And you're giving us the most precious resource you have, which is time. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And thank you. Thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, well, we don't have a show. So we appreciate it when you show up. We appreciate it when you tell your friends. Yes, we love the comments. We like the like buttons. And we really, really like when you hit the share button, when you pay this message. Now, I know some of you can't do it, depending on the platform you're listening on right now or watching on. But if you can, hit the share button, by the way. And I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you're someone that's put on this earth to do something cool, amazing, super fun stuff, by the way. And you're special. You're unique. I know some of you think, Shay, there you go again with this hocus pocus stuff, this warm, good, feely stuff. But no, it's not hyperbole. It's just the truth. You've got greatness inside you. And I believe that no matter what's going on in your life, whether you got hit with the punch that you never saw coming or you're on the rise like never before, today, I believe, is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, your best is still yet to come. They haven't seen it. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name, still Shay Brown. It ain't changed. The Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And we'll make some good things how we connect again next time. God bless. Thanks a lot. See you later, team. Thanks, Jamila, for putting us together. You rock. We out. Peace, everybody.